Hi, Kurt Von Brandt here from the Bass College. We're going to try to fish one of the small farm ponds. We're going to try to show you a little bit about how you fish some of these small ponds. I've noticed a lot of guys are asking about, I read in magazines you want to fish current, but I don't fish a big lake or a river. I'll show you a few things. Down in that corner you have a natural spillway there, or man-made spillway actually for this farm pond. That will create some current. Here's another key, especially when bass are feeding. You have a small feeder creek coming in right here, and a lot of times these bass will lay out here. It's a flat at the mouth of that feeder creek with some grass on it. We're going to throw some red-eye shads, some chatterbaits, some Terminator Oklahomas. They should hit that. We're almost here in April. Today's March 28th, so hopefully they'll hit that. If they don't, I do have a jig and we'll crawl that around the bottom a little bit, but hopefully we won't need it. See you in a minute with some fish. Alright, there's our first one of the day. Try to get him off here and film at the same time. Almost immediately I had a couple strikes, 2 short strikes. Like on two on probably my first 5 casts. Hold on a second, let me get this fish off. Alright, not a bad one. That seemed to be about the size of the other 2. One came up and boiled on the chatterbait right on the surface. Another one thumped it, working it a little slower out here on this flat, same spot where I started, showed you just a second ago. This feeder creek washes out, you get a rain, it'll push all kinds of fresh new water, oxygen. I think the bait get in there, it probably washes in bugs, insects, larvae, nightcrawler, any kind of worm, anything. I'm not really sure exactly what, but it seems to turn the bass or the bait fish on, and then the bass follow. Let's let this one go. Let me explain a little bit about the bait. Using a chatterbait, it's a perfect bait to use for super shallow grass in the early spring when it's a little too shallow for the rattle bait. I change out all the skirts on mine. I took this Strike King Perfect skirt. It's got a gold blade, gold head, got the white split tail. I've got to start saving film because it's literally every cast. They're all the same size. Honestly, every single cast these fish are hitting it. And yes, this is a good pond, but it's not quite that good. This is how hard fish are hitting everywhere right now. I can probably catch more here, but I can go to any public pond right now and do this. These fish are hitting. Alright, a little better fish, but I'm going to have to move again. I'm catching too many of this size fish. I need bigger fish. Literally, guys, it's one after another, after another, after another. I've been here maybe 15 minutes, and every cast the fish boils at the bait and misses it, or you catch them. Every cast. Alright, I want to show you guys something without using too much video, because we're going to get something big here in a minute. But it shows you what a good salooner influence, the angle of the sun, the time of year. It's almost April. These fish normally want to spawn in about 3 weeks. We've had freezing cold nights. I'm catching fish on every single cast. I want to show you something. You see this? At the shoreline, there is ice, okay? Hunks of ice, and I'm burning fish up. I mean, they are smashing the bait on the surface. Now, granted, this is a farm pond. It doesn't receive a lot of pressure. Public lakes may be a little bit different, but when fish are this hot anywhere this time of year, these fish can be caught anywhere right now. Don't just pay attention to those cold temperatures early in the year. Once it gets this late, these fish are busting up. Alright guys, these fish can't get much hotter. All these fish have red roofs of their mouths, downward facing eyes, which tells me these fish are eating crayfish. Obviously there's no way to know 100%, but everything I've read and learned, that tells me what they're doing. Nice fish. They're all about this size. There's a lot of bigger fish in here. I think I'm going to change to a red-eye shad and work the middles, because all these fish that are up near the first drop off or actually on the bank are all about this size, and there's some big ones in here. Alright, move spots. First cast, another bass. Alright, this fish missed it. This is my second cast in the new spot. Missed it. The bait came closer. I could see the bait came up. Missed it again. Then right as the bait got to the bank, I stopped it and just let it sit there and kind of shook it. Just looking at my bait, and the fish came back and got it again. That's how hot they are. Next cast, another fish. Another small bass on the very next cast. Let's let this one go. See you in a minute. Alright, I've tied on a Strike King red eye shad. I'm literally catching way too many small fish on the chatterbait. Something very interesting which maybe you could use when you go fishing at a small farm pond or a retention pond. It seems like, I mean, these fish are really aggressive, so you would be able to catch some of these smaller fish pretty much anywhere you threw your bait, but they're all stacked up in the corners. Here, down there where we started, that corner, and this corner. You're catching pretty much, I had one other fish, but pretty much all the small fish are jammed into the corners. I don't know if that's where the crayfish are, or they're using that to ambush bait. So now I put on the red eye shad. I'm going to go over on this bank over here, and I'm going to throw the red eye shad out here. There's a deep hole. It's about anywhere from 4 to 6 feet deep, depending on what the water level is. Last year I caught 3 or 4 or 5+ pound fish on back-to-back casts, so we'll see what happens. Alright, second cast with the rattle bait. This is what I caught. I'll get this fish unhooked and throw it back. 1.5 pounds, decent fish. Check that out. You think these fish are wanting to eat the rattle bait? The head of the bait is pushing out the bottom of the fish's jaw. Let it go and catch another one. Don't get me wrong, these are fun, fantastic fish to catch. That one didn't swallow it as well, swiped at it. They're just not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some bigger fish. I'm going to really have to try to adjust and find out where these bigger fish are. There you go. You'll see this a lot this time of year. I was burning that through some emerging grass. This fish swiped at it, got hooked on the side of its face. Let me tell you a little bit what I'm using. I'm using a 7-foot St. Croix. This reel happens to be the Johnny Morris Bass Pro Shops reel. Good reel for the money. Moved over here on the opposite shore, ripping it through some emerging grass beds that we have coming out here as it slowly drops off into the deep hole. Well, the fish that I just released hasn't even left. It's laying in this grass near the end of this stick. And as I catch another one and reel it in, it's still laying there on the next cast. I caught this one. It came off right at the bank, and the reason it got away is it landed on some skim ice that's here at the shore and couldn't swim away before I could grab him. Let's see if he spooks this other one. Oh, looks like he's going to go right down. There he swims away. There's another one laying right there, the one I just released 2 seconds ago. Switched over to a little bit steeper bank. I'm actually standing on an incline here. See if maybe some bigger fish are holding on that steeper bank. Back in a corner though, see? Always in the corners it seems today. 1.5 pounds. Take that off, let it go. Stopped to retie after letting that one go because I had a fray in my line. Next cast this one. Look at that fish's eyes, how down they're facing. That tells me they're feeding on the bottom. Where are my big fish? Gotta find my big fish. I'll take that one off, let it go. Alright, well now I move back to where I started. Trying the Oklahoma spinnerbait, see if that'll pull up a bigger fish, maybe a little bigger profile. If this doesn't work and I don't get anything bigger, I'm going to drag a jig in all the emerging grass that I can find, and then we'll see what happens. Alright, second cast with the Terminator. Another fish. If I end up catching this big fish, we're going to have to name this video Spring Weeding, because you got to weed through an awful lot of small fish today. Alright baby, spring weeding. Weeded through about 50 small fish. This fish is giant. Easy 7 pounds, starting to load up with eggs. This fish is really large. I gotta try to get some still pictures. Hold on a second here. Oh my goodness, that fish was hooked. This fish is giant. Easy 7 pounds on the Z-Man chatterbait. Perfect skirt. Sexy shad. Look, I gotta try to get you some idea how big this fish is. Look at my rod. Okay. From the butt of my rod all the way up to here. A lot of weight. Absolute pig of a fish. Let me get it in the water so it doesn't die, and then I'll take some more. This is why we come to this lake. not just for all those small fish, but for fish like this. Absolute giant fish. Huge. One of the bigger fish in the pond. Oh man. Let me try to take a see. Yeah. That fish is easy 22, 23 inches long, maybe more. Look at the length of the log laying along this log. Giant fish. Before I let it go, I can fit my whole hand in that fish's mouth. Look at that. For real, whole hand in its mouth, not trying. And I have big hands. I'm 6'6". Absolute pig of a fish. Absolute giant. And she's still here. We caught again, baby. Spring weeding. Just like your yard, sometimes when you go fishing, you got to do a little spring weeding. Weed through those small fish. Caught a ton of them, all in the corners. Same place that big fish was. Caught probably 20 right in this corner. I didn't even film. I was catching so many small fish. Came back through. Man, I noticed I'm not catching as many fish all of a sudden. Put back on the chatterbait, which is what I started with. Went right back to this spot. Wham, caught that big fish. Well, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I'm going to make a few more casts. If I catch something, you'll see me. I got to go. It's about 10 o'clock. Got here at about 7:15. You saw how many fish I caught. Most of the fish were in these corners. Try fishing the corners of these small ponds, these small farm ponds. Sometimes they're jam-packed in them. That corner where there's a feeder creek, and then down here where the spillway is, caught a lot of fish as well. That giant fish that you just saw came right out in here on the Z-Man chatterbait. This actual Z-Man chatterbait right here. That's sexy shad, sexy chartreuse shad. It's got a little chartreuse mixed in with it. That was a real giant fish. Don't have my scale with me, but I've caught a lot of big fish. I've caught a lot of big fish out of here. That fish was an easy 7 pounds, maybe a little larger. Huge body, huge mouth, huge head. Just starting to develop its eggs. Water's cold. We had some ice right at the shore. Just a phenomenal day. So don't let the weather completely discourage you. If you can get out, get out. Once it gets this late in the year, these bass are hitting. Kurt Von Brandt here for the Bass College. Just got back to the house. Did a little farm pond early spring bass fishing today. Had about 3 hours. Got there about 7:15. Left about 10:15. Caught so many fish today in those 3 hours that both of my thumbs are starting to be all torn up from lipping so many fish. A lot of small fish today in that pound, 2 pound, a lot of action. There was probably another 20 that I didn't film because it was literally cast after cast after cast after cast. Caught a lot of fish today on a Terminator Oklahoma 1/2 ounce chartreuse and white gold blade. Strike King red eye shad. Caught quite a few fish on that. But I caught the most fish and the biggest fish on the Z-Man original chatterbait, gold blade, gold head, Strike King perfect skirt, chartreuse sexy shad with the white split tail trailer. Can't wait to see the video. Hopefully it turned out well. I was by myself, so it was hard videotaping and fishing at the same time without a tripod. Hope the video does justice to how big that fish really was. You can catch a lot of big fish in small ponds. I hope that's one thing guys take away from this. But each day is different. Most of the time I go there and I catch about 10 small fish and a lot of big fish. Today I had to weed through a ton of small fish. And once it seemed like I had burnt them up and caught as many as I could, I went back through to the same general areas. They were all in the corners of the pond. Those areas soak up sunlight. They're shallow. They either herd bait fish or there was a lot of crayfish in those corners. That's where the fish seemed to be, and that's where the big fish came from. So for Steve and Kurt Von Brandt, next time we'll see you down on the water.